and there was a snafu this last year. So I'm here to ask for the annual $1,000 donation. This year, we spent about $5,600 in total stocking. We released both walleye and smallmouth bass, about 1,000 walleye and about 2,500 smallmouth bass. And the DNR released, I believe, 6,500 walleye. And you asked for a report of the success criteria, or what are we seeing from the stocking program that we do year over year. And we have a new biologist that's on the lake, and I had a conversation with him about this. Several other things that we do is we go to the fish jamborees that they hold in the winter time, and we just, through word of mouth, talk to people about what are they catching, talk to the fishermen. And this, based off of my request, it also prompted them to do a survey this fall on the health of the walleye in the lake. I reported at our annual LBPIA that I was very encouraged because spawning walleyes were caught this year, so we know that they're reaching the age of spawning and they're filled with spawn. So the survey that was conducted was to look for small baby walleyes in the lake, which would show that they are truly reproducing. The survey did not yield any. They weren't able to find any. And I said, well, how can that be if we're catching spawning fish? And apparently with walleye, they need to have gravel beds in order to lay their eggs, and they need to find a part of the lake that has gravel beds and preferably moving water over them. If they don't find that, the eggs just absorb back into their body. They don't lay them. And they feel that that might be what's going on. They're gonna do a more extensive survey this coming spring, hopefully post-COVID, where they can actually do shocking and do surveys of the fish population. They've been doing that typically on an every 3-year rotation, and they've been monitoring the health of the population of fish, and it has been very good. And that's where we get the recommendations for what species of fish that we release. So last year we released perch because the perch numbers looked like they were a little bit lower than what they had been. And this last winter, perch fishing was excellent. We got very, very positive reports from the fishermen on the perch fishing. Now, obviously, wouldn't have been the ones that we just released, but it is an uptick on that species. So I would like to graciously ask for your continued support. And is it possible to do it for next year to get approval for both of them so that we're ahead of the game?
Where are we in the budget? We budgeted for this year.
We're okay.
How about some discussion on it? I have a neighbor who heads up the bass jamboree that's every
Yes.
Tuesday. In fact, he won the thing this year. They said bass fishing in the lake is a disaster. And it's been going downhill the last 3 or 4 years, pretty drastically. And he said one of the reasons, they're not sure exactly why, but one of the reasons for some of the fish they're stocking is causing whatever it is. It serves as a food, or they're being eaten by other fish. But he said something is wrong when it comes to bass. And I think Beulah is a bass lake. It's known for its bass fishing.
They're actually catching record size though. They might not be catching as many, but they're catching.
Well, he said the size is down drastically too.
Really?
That's the criteria, I think, is
Yeah.
the total weight, I think, on the tournaments. And he was giving me some statistics, and it's bad. I mean, it's really down to the point where should they even do it?
Is he part of Triangle?
I
Is
think
he
so.
associated with
It's
Triangle?
Rich Faust,
Yeah, because
good friend of John there, and some other people in Lake here. So he's one of the best fishermen on the lake.
Huh.
And he said, boy, if they want to, spend money, you better make sure that they're doing the right thing, because bass fishing is not very good. John, you know Rich Faust, don't you? Yeah, he's tremendous at this, yeah.
I think they're an independent group, not Triangle.
Yeah, okay.
I think so. And I think one of the statistics was, last year they caught like 365 fish. This year they caught 66 bass.
Really?
Bass, yeah.
Wow.
It's
A
down.
year, a season, Because I go every Tuesday, I fish it.
then there was as many people fishing and,
Yes, sir.
wow.
Yeah, quite a bit.
So that's
We bring in
great.
6, 8, 10 fish, and this year we're bringing in 40 guys, fishing.
So they are doing a survey right now on the trout, and they're looking at that because what the DNR did is, because of COVID, they weren't able to release trout anywhere else in the state, so they dumped them all into Lake Beulah. And trout is
Their food. How many did they dump?
it was a lot, like
Wow.
20,000.
Yeah, cause it's food.
It is food
For us, yes, for people.
It's food.
Yeah,
The smallest, the bass.
Well, they survive at the deep level, I think.
So it's-
They do, they school together and they live in the deepest part of the lake. So if you have a fish finder, you can find schools of, 600-700 fish.
Well, my comment is that I think we need answers here, because it's a bass lake, and bass fishing is not good. And
I'll give you so that is very contrary to any of the conversations I had with anyone, including the biologist who's new to the lake that's been.
well, they mentioned they've had sessions with the biologist, and the biologist admits he doesn't know what's going on, but something's going on, that's what they're telling me.
Okay.
They told me he is new, and maybe a little naive at times. But I think you collaborate the story here, we're just not getting the bass.
Is there a size on the fish, the 20,000 rainbows that they put in, the trout? Is there a size, what size they put in?
I think they're small.
Fingerlings, little small ones?
4 to 6 inches in length.
So that's why the bass aren't biting, because they have plenty of hors d'oeuvres all over the lake. That's why.
I think the buffet table. I think the bottom line is you don't know for sure, and we don't know.
Yeah, but I'm
So we
concerned
gotta
that
find
that's
out.
not what from everyone I've talked to, and even the biologist, I mean, he did not indicate that anyone talked to him about a problem, so I'll follow.
Well, he fishes it right here, so there's a second.
Yeah, I know, I
Yeah,
totally
I
believe you.
was shocked when I.
What is the DNR, what is their position in your stocking program? Are they, making recommendations, and if so, have you made them aware? Well, of course, you just now found out from John.
Yeah, and we have been, that's the number one, I mean, smallmouth bass is typically what we always introduce, and that's what's recommended. But we also were told that the fishermen didn't want us introducing bass, they wanna game, in fact, they were requesting for northerns to be put in and, for walleyes. So depending on who you talk to, everyone's got a different story. But we base the recommendation off of the DNR, and they base it off of the shocking surveys that they do. So they do, a scientific study where they go to different parts of the lake and they shock it and take a census of the size and the type of fish that they're catching, and then they look to see, is that a healthy balance of the different species? And we are recognized as one of the better lakes in Wisconsin. In fact, this year, the walleyes that were introduced, Walleyes Unlimited, every year chooses a location to release fish through their donations, and they wanted to do a lake this year instead of a river, so they chose Lake Beulah because of the program and because of the history with the walleye program. So it has a reputation of being a great sports lake. So
But I think, I'd like to see some answers.
Yeah.
And if you come back, next time, next month or so, I'm not against the money going over, but I think we need answers. And, with the population decreasing that rapidly.
well, we had a major, 2 years ago, there was a major die-off of perch, sunfish, bluegills. There were areas on the lake where 600-700
Yeah.
small fish were floating in an area, and we contributed that to some over-fertilizing that was taking place, and just the warm temperatures that we were having and what it did to the oxygen.
I would think it would be good to have something from these various groups, and maybe even have maybe they could, or you could coordinate some sort of meeting, and come up with, some kind of report with the DNR. Maybe the DNR should run the thing and get all the groups involved, because this looks like could be the beginning of this fish people don't like that one, and that fish people don't like that one, so we're gonna fight over what we're gonna put in the lake. And, if we're here, if we're part of it, you know, I have to have something to go by, I don't know, a
Sure.
fish for my guppy, so,
We're putting no guppies in.
and assuming you don't.
When did they put the 20,000 trout in? When did that happen?
Because it's designated as a trout.
No,
lake.
when did it happen?
When did it happen?
Yeah,
I think April,
of this year?
when the ice went off.
Are you gonna have, you think you have, something for us this spring?
Sounds with
Spring
why
meeting?
I'm asking.
Yeah, I will, I don't, the survey probably will not happen until May with the DNR. And right now,
Let's just say that this next summer, we'll get a report before the next, and I assume you're only, putting the fish in the fall.
yes,
Okay, so before we put in more fish in,
and that's mandated by the state.
okay.
And it's the best time to do it because of water temperatures.
Right, how are we fixed for a budget on this, Chris? I mean,
We can support it.
all right, well, why don't we have a motion to contribute $1,000 this year, and, I'll put it on the agenda in April or May.
Wow.
I'd like a contingent on some sort of report.
Then next year's.
Next year's be contingent on the report. I think we give them $1,000 now. We've talked about it, we knew it was coming. And then, we'll make a motion, John, and
Well, I also asked for the report last time.
statement.
We also asked for the
You
report.
walking?
Sure, ask for the report.
No, we didn't do that last time.
We did.
We did.
That's what I mean.
Maybe you gave the report, it just.
Yeah,
What's the
it
second?
wasn't the answer that you wanted.
Yeah, well, I'd love to have it today, but I don't think we're hearing that in reality.
Well, let's ask that,
Did you
you
release
give
it?
us, you take,
Decent.
The feedback, I'll do some.
give us a written report the next time.
And if you can send me the contacts, I will certainly follow up.
I would move to, donate $1,000 this year, and we'll consider donating an additional $1,000 next year based upon receiving some sort of written report that satisfies the various problems we seem to suspect. Is there support for that?
I'll second that motion.
Second. Any other comments or discussions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
New business, proposed LBMD communications brochure, which we have seen.
Okay, I guess that's mine, but I'll turn it over to Lisa, but we all have a copy here. The Protective Association put out a nice brochure, and we admired that, and it's sort of patterned after theirs. But I think we do a lot of good things in the management district, we gotta get that word out. And I don't think we're doing it that effectively, right now. But I think this can go a long way in, getting the message out, and also keeping the people informed of what's going on in the lake, in the town, and maybe even the village. And, also the connection with the DNR, the, county, and everything pulled together. So, let's go forward with something like that. The question could be, do we want it, and when do we want it? But, with that in mind, I'll turn it over to Lisa. Who put this together, did a fine job. It's just that, exactly.
Yeah, there's a post-it note by your individual report that I would need some more information feed into here. But I asked the chief for some information, and he gave us some really good stuff to put in here this last summer. So my thought was to get something out in November, as kind of a wrap up to this summer. And, I don't know, a few things came up, like what's the difference between the district and the LEP, I guess I thought that was important. I just took some topics and put them in here and kind of fed some words in, so if anyone has any additional information, please email me so I can put it in here, the treasurer's report. Val, I thought you could help me with the annual report summary, and then each of you that has your designated committee that you're on, Stan, the dam and the aquatic plant stuff, you're getting that information anyhow with the weed load and all that, so I thought we could feed that into this too. And then the back page is kind of an informational page, who to call, what to call, county, DNR, Stu for the weed pickup, voting regulations, and, you know, just everything that is questioned. I put a few things in there, I wasn't sure about the fireworks, you wanna say something about the boat launch. but I put an outline together, so if you could help me feed it with the
Okay.
information.
So what do we need to do, Lisa?
Well,
You need to look at where the post-it note is
Yeah, okay.
and write something for that
Okay.
blank space.
the question would be, do we put a, issue out this year, or do we wait till the spring? And, I'm not certain about that, but, well, I assume we wanna do it, but
Yeah.
if we do, what would be the timeframe?
Well, what do you suggest, John?
I'm set up to go. If you want this done in a month, it'll be really easy. Just take your information, feed it in here. We have 400 and, what did I tell you, 460 stamps, I believe. There are several people on this lake that own more than one property, so.
Well, the most efficient way, you're just gonna have to mail it.
I got the tax key from the county, so I have addresses, even if people don't, this one is not their primary residence, you can send it to wherever they live. Wherever their tax bill goes, where this would go.
Well, why don't we just continue to work on
Roll
it,
it
and I'll
over.
get back to you
Yeah.
on you ask for some more input.
Question out here.
Thank you. Thank you.
And we will try to fill out the information. Tom?
I don't know if this is something you can do because of the type of organization you are, but I mean, could we put like an ad in there to join the Lake Beulah Protective Association or a thing with information where they could contact us if they're interested in being a member, just so that we can.
One of the
supplement
pages
each
in
other?
here is the difference between the district, and so that would be awesome, because I was gonna put our web address in there too, and then something for you. You could put a link to a donation area.
Any wording we put in on it, we'll let you have a say on it, and then
Yeah.
how
I
do you
did
want to
this
word it that
last
way?
year.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect.
Were you the one to help me put the language together on the website about
I don't
what the
think, no,
difference is? I can't remember, who did I ask that a couple years ago?
probably Steve Schmittenberg.
Yeah, that it was. Yeah.
All right,
So yeah, take a
We'll
look
get-
at it and let me know what you
I'll
think.
get back to you on
I
that.
got a question, Dave.
Go ahead.
Is there gonna be a section in that book for me?
No, I don't think so, John.
Okay, just
Okay.
asking.
Any other questions?
I have one when it's open public comments, but I'll hold my breath.
I'll hold my breath, too, John.
Thanks.
All right, if there are no questions on that, John, do you have a public comment?
Yes, I do. Earlier in the meeting, when Greg was mentioning something about across the street from Fred's Tap, he didn't elaborate too much on what was going on there. Could he elaborate on that, or could you elaborate, or somebody elaborate on that?
I can't, I have no idea
Okay,
what he was talking about.
could he elaborate on it?
Greg or me?
I believe it was Greg that gave the comments, something about something across the street from Fred's Tap. He mentioned it earlier in the meeting. I was waiting for public comments to
In his
respond to it.
minutes.
Cleaning up something that.
Part of the,
Board meeting, the town board.
He's only reporting what happens from the town board.
Right, but he mentioned something about something that happened across the street from Fred's Tap, but I couldn't make out what he was mentioning.
I'm not talking about your rezoning effort across the Fred's Tap. The chief was charged with, reviewing your use of the lake shore in a C4 district for commercial use.
Well, that shouldn't be a C4 district, because it was wetland delineated twice, and I spent
That's-
$34,000.
that's An assumption on your part, and it's an assumption on Matt Edency's part. The C4 districts were set up based on a primary environmental corridor that was established by sewer tax. The C4 district is there to protect runoff from upland woodlands into the wetland district.
Okay, well, we don't have an
It is
upland
not a
wetlands there.
mistake.
Well, I think it is.
It is not.
I had it delineated twice, and it was proven to be an upland district.
Well, John,
It's not a
you
mistake.
made your point.
I was just trying to get
We can't
clarification.
change any zoning.
Oh, I understand that. But I heard it brought up, I didn't quite understand what he had mentioned. So, it seems like this board and the town is always trying to look under the rocks over by me to see what's happening over there, and it just seems like I'm
Well, we
getting too
always
many
see-
resources used up
John,
on
we
me.
always seem to see a lot of boats over there that don't have your registration on them, and then we see ads on your part to rent boats, and they're.
I don't rent any boats that's
Let
out
me
over there.
finish. And we seem to see a lot of things we think are wrong or in violation of the regulations. And so it's our job to report them to the authorities, to people that have some authority to take some action. And we will continue to do that if we continue to see it at your place. We are not picking on you.
There are no boats over there that don't belong over there. You've already gone through this for years and years on
That's not for me to
end.
determine. If someone
I
brings
know,
it
but
up,
it's getting
we
long in the
report it,
tooth.
and the authorities take care of it.
Okay, well, I put out the effort to properly get the property rezoned. I did it twice. I spent $34,000, and this board was instrumental on running interference on me getting it right so that we wouldn't be in any violation of anything. So why don't you let's loosen up the restrictions on the lake and let some people enjoy the lake? You guys all have your houses, that's wonderful, that's grand, but let some other people enjoy the lake too. How about that?
Good point.
All right.
Isn't there a landing?
Guy, let's don't turn this.
No, there is a landing, 29 boats. That's what it's for.
Yeah, and you guys fought that in 1990. There used to be 7 boats, parts for cars and trucks over there,
There's
and now there's 29. Right.
What's wrong with that?
Go there on a Saturday at 9 o'clock in the morning, and there's an 8-boat wait.
There may be.
There is. So it's obviously we're not opening up enough for the public to enjoy.
John, all right, let's stop this right now. Number one,
Okay.
we did not set it. It was set by the DNR, 29, between the DNR and the town. We had no say whatsoever. We don't have any ability to change it. And
I know you didn't have
any comment I
And he's
get
saying
more than
it, but you were
anybody
fighting it on the
John,
back end.
You're gonna let me finish, or you're not gonna be able to speak.
All right, carry on, Dave.
If any comment we get more than any other comment is from town residents wanna know why they have to pay to put their boats in the lake when they pay the high taxes. And I tell them because that's the rule, and they have to pay it.
That's
Now,
reasonable.
The same thing is true about fishermen. I don't think I've ever, well, I don't know, I'm not there in the morning to see the fishermen get in. But generally they get in. We have plenty of boats on the lake. I've never seen so much boat traffic on the lake as we have this year.
I
So
agree.
somebody's putting their boats in and using them. I've been over there many times and not seen any lines, but I suppose there are times
Okay.
when there are. Now, if you wanted us to take action, it's gotta be on something that we have control.
I understand, but 3/4 of this lake is owned by people from Illinois.
That
Their
has
state
nothing to
was
do
locked
with it.
down, that's why
That
you're
is
seeing all the
irrelevant.
boat action this year.
It is completely irrelevant who owns the property, and it's not 3/4.
Okay,
Look at the rules, John.
I do. I
It's supposed
study
to be
that stuff for
50%.
fun.
Agreed, but what, are Illinois people bad?
No, they're great, they spend money up here, they keep good
All
power.
right, this is obviously turning into something it's not supposed to be. Do you have a request for us to take any action on anything we have power over?
I was
Or
just
comments?
curious what the discussion was about.
Okay, we answered that question.
Okay.
Moving on.